Hey, everybody, we are back again. Welcome to Austin Sports Weekend. It's time to talk college
Football.
college football.
Week 7 has ended, and we're on to week 8.
Man, week eight. Now, college football is maybe my favorite. I really do love college football. But before we get started, thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up here in their studios again. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for sponsoring us. But let's jump into week 7. We'll give our predictions for week 8, but let's go ahead and recap some week 7 action. We normally only cover the top 15, but we always cover Tennessee, no matter what. So let's go ahead and talk about the Tennessee game. Texas A&M came to town. It was the 3:30 CBS game of the week. It was Checker Neyland.
And it was an ugly game.
It was an ugly game. Tennessee won 20-3. They covered
20-13.
No, 20-13. They covered the line, which was 3.
Yeah, that's kind of odd with a score like that. I mean, you wouldn't think a Josh Heupel team would only score 20 points.
The over and under was 56 on it, so the experts thought there would be 56 points scored. There was 33.
First off, my first point. Josh Heupel better give those defensive players a steak on the house.
Yeah, they better. Yeah, he better go out and buy them guys some food. Speaking of that, Heupel has never in his career won a game under 30 points
Until Saturday.
Until Saturday. So Josh Heupel's first game under 30 points as a victory. We were also losing at halftime.
Which he was 0 of 9.
And Heupel was 0 of 9 if he was down at halftime. So
Until Saturday.
So honestly, we were actually talking. Tennessee's running game is fantastic. We put up 232 yards on the best rushing defense in the SEC. That was giving up 80 yards a game.
Now it's time to tackle the elephant in the room.
Yeah, that is our passing game is still struggling.
I want to be honest, it's not very good at all.
Our passing game is struggling quite some time now, and we've looked over everything on it, and it's a little bit of everything. Milton's timing's a little bit off. Sometimes he makes the wrong decisions. A lot of the times the receivers aren't open, and they don't make any extra moves or any extra stuff to try to. I don't know. It's a little bit of a struggle all the way around on it's not. You can't just pinpoint one thing on it. There's a lot of different things.
Especially Ramel Keaton, who's had a very disappointing year.
He made some of the best catches that he could have possibly made last year. He almost single-handedly won the Florida game, making that Superman catch. And this year, I don't know if it has to be mental because he is super talented. He's dropping some catches.
A lot of catches that were
he
very
probably
catchable.
should have. Yeah. So
I feel like maybe he needs a mental reset. Maybe take him out of the slot. Maybe just put him into a shorter routes.
Maybe. See, but it's like that. It's not Milton is not really good. It's not the receivers are not running around. It's not the passers aren't catching passes. It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of all of it. It's a whole mixture of stuff that's making the passing game difficult.
But Milton, who has been heavily, and I mean heavily criticized for his inaccuracies, I just feel like you can't make it all his fault, but he does deserve some of the blame.
Yeah, he does deserve some of the blame. But if you've got a route tree with 4 people in it and none of them are open, what are you going to do? And then honestly, I think, and we were talking about this just a couple days ago. This is the first game Heupel's ever won under 30 points. First time he's ever been down at halftime and won. What does Heupel's teams normally have? Explosive,
big time plays, and they don't have that.
They normally score 30 points is almost a loser. You're averaging 40 points if you're a Josh Heupel offense. Josh Heupel is not used to coaching this type of team. Think about that for a minute.
With a mostly inaccurate quarterback play and receivers that don't get open.
He's used to coaching a 40-point team. He's having to learn how to coach a 20-point team. So you have to give a little bit of slack to Heupel too, because some of those play calls we were like, I don't know if I'd have made that play. Of course, I'm not a coach, but still though, you're like, I don't know, I think he's learning how to coach a 20-point offense also. So to be 5-1 and be the Tennessee is 16-3 in their last 19 games. As a Tennessee fan, thank you very much. I'll take that 16-3 record the last 19 games. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but they really got to improve.
They really do, because they're stepping up into a really tough game this week. Let's jump on down to the other games. Again, I could talk about Tennessee for 20 minutes. Jumping through the top 15, we had number 1 Georgia at Vandy. Georgia was asleep the first half of the game.
That's
like
an
they always do.
understatement.
Why did Georgia falls asleep every game in the first half and then wakes up and kills people? The only team they stomped from the start
was Kentucky.
was Kentucky.
Why did they not play full 4-quarter games?
I don't know. I think they're talented enough. They're good enough to where they think, we'll play half the game and we'll beat them. The only one that they were, people were saying, Kentucky might beat Georgia, and Kentucky heard that, so they beat the living tar out of them.
I mean, how many quarters are in a football game, though?
It's supposed to be 4.
You
Not
don't play the
3.
last 2 quarters.
If you're Georgia, you do, and you'll win like 20 games straight. If you do, or more.
I feel like Georgia is a very talented team, but they really got to play more consistent throughout the whole game.
Yeah, or it could jump up and bite them like it almost did in the playoffs last year. One team up that seems like they are getting better every week is Michigan. We have Indiana at Michigan. Michigan put up fed a 2.
Wiping the floor with Indiana.
Michigan was struggling getting over 30 points the first 2 or 3 games of the year. We actually talked about it. They were favored by 33. They didn't score 33. But now, the last couple games they're into 40 to 50 points.
Yep, and
if their offense stays clicking like this, as good as their defense is playing, Michigan might be the number 1 team in the country.
Possibly. They did, although they did beat an Indiana team that did fire its offensive coordinator earlier this year.
But still, though, Michigan has struggled against a bunch of easy teams. Michigan's not got a tough schedule. Really,
not quite
a tough schedule. But they were struggling to, they were putting up 30 points against people that they should have put as 50, and and the last 2 weeks their offenses got better. Jumping on to Ohio State. Ohio State was at Purdue and they won 41-7. Their offense still hasn't clicked like it should. 41 points is 41 points. That's great. But their offense still hasn't clicked like it really should. They should have beat Purdue.
Purdue's kicking game was bad. Let's just say that 0 of 3 on field goals.
0 of 3 on field goals. I don't think that would have helped. But it would have been 41-13. That would have been 41-16 maybe if they would have hit those. Syracuse at Florida State. Florida State.
Snot out of Syracuse.
No.
Squeezed them out and made them into orange juice.
41-3. Yeah, they took the Orangeman and made Orangeman juice. 41-3. They handled that one pretty good.
Make sure you drink your orange juice. Do you prefer it with or without pulp?
With pulp. I like a little pulp. We had Arkansas at Alabama.
Why does Arkansas always play close games and get their heart ripped out?
Yep. 24-21.
They were down 24-6 in the 4th quarter. They scored 2 straight touchdowns. They make me think, maybe they're going to pull one out. Maybe they're going to finally pull out a 1-score game.
Nope. 24-21. They lost. But man, their quarterback played good, didn't he? That one time that he had an Alabama guy jump on his back, like a jockey on a horse, and he just rode him around, sling him off like a fly, and then made that pass. KJ Jefferson did play good, but
Arkansas is 2-5.
Alabama.
But Alabama is very up and down this year.
They win. They lost the one game. They lost Texas. But they haven't lost since then. And they just find ways to win. And good teams do what?
Find ways to win.
That's what Alabama's doing. We had Massachusetts at Penn State. Penn State just demolished 63 to
That was
nothing.
A classic beatdown, if
Yeah.
there ever was one. There was 2 punt return touchdowns in the game by Penn State.
2?
Yeah, 2 punt return TDs.
Normally you don't have 2 in a year. Massachusetts.
Big Game James pulled out pulled out everything against poor Massachusetts.
He might have saved some of those. He might want to save some of those points for this week. We'll talk about that in a minute, though. Maybe What was the game of the week? Oregon at Washington.
Lived up to the billing.
Oregon 33, Washington 36. I honestly thought it would be Oregon coming out on top, but Washington being at home.
And Washington's
Played really
quarterback,
good.
Michael Penix, throws that game-winning touchdown pass to beat Oregon, and that will help him in the Heisman race.
Right now, Penix is my favorite at Heisman. If I had a Heisman vote, I would be voting for
Michael Penix.
Michael Penix. He has proven all year long, and this was a test. Oregon, I still think Oregon's a top 10 team, if not
But
better.
the
than
head
a top
coach,
10 team.
Dan Lanning, made so many fourth down
Why
calls.
would you go? Now, I would not have went with some of those fourth down calls that he did.
Absolutely not.
I would not have. And honestly, I think they would have won
It's like
if he would have kicked some of those field goals.
It's like his brain morphed into Brandon Staley for a moment.
I
He
don't
went
know.
for fourth down so many times and missed all three of them.
He missed all three of those fourth downs.
And those were points.
And I honestly think that cost him the game. Because not only do you give the ball back to the team, but that is a deflation for, you're like, oh, man. When you're all man and three times, your
That's
team is
gotta be-
deflated. I mean, you got to not feel as good as you would. 3 points feels better than, oh, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I honestly think that Oregon would have won it if the coach might have cost them that game.
but
But
Washington's
it was a
offense,
Also, Washington is still, though, they are a
dangerous team looking down the stretch now.
dangerous team. Going on down, we had Louisville. They had popped up to number 14.
And man, they just laid an egg. You know how
they lost by
Cardinals-
17. That
how
was
fitting.
That was a quick jolt into the top 15.
And a quick
And out.
boot out. You know how Cardinals like to make nests? You see those National Geographics,
Oh yeah,
and then they lay their eggs.
Well,
That's
they-
what happened
it-
against
it-
Pitt.
It must have been time for them to lay their eggs because they put them out there. That was really bad. Pitt laid it to them 38-21. Man. We had USC at Notre Dame, number 10. USC at Notre Dame.
I knew it.
We picked this one. It was one of the easiest picks that you could get. USC's defense is
Horrible.
terrible. They're going to give up 40 points to whoever they play. They have almost every single game this
Especially-
entire year.
You're not going to win, especially when Caleb Williams throws up the stinker he did against Notre Dame.
I'm not going to believe in USC until they beat somebody, I don't know, east of Dallas. you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I don't think USC could beat Washington or Oregon right now either. I'm definitely not going to believe in them now. But yeah, 28 points is a butt kicking. They got the old butt kicked. Miami, North Carolina. North Carolina is quietly.
Producing a strong season.
Yeah, they are. 31-41. They beat Miami by 10 points. So
And
Miami's lost 2 in a row.
Miami coming off of
The
one of-
worst play call maybe in the history of Miami football.
one of the biggest blunders I've ever seen, and then you add a North Carolina beating on top of that. That just makes your skin crawl.
Yeah, if you're a Miami fan, you're definitely not in a very good mood right now. But no, North Carolina again. Who's that quarterback?
Drake May.
Drake May. They've pumped out some pretty good quarterbacks lately. Washington Commanders have a
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. They got a North Carolina quarterback.
And Mitchell Trubisky was from North Carolina as well.
We don't talk about that one. We had the last one of our top 15. We had UCLA at Oregon State. I thought UCLA might do something with this, but Oregon State beat them at 12, 36-24. The chips are stale.
And the dam has been built up well by the Master Beaver.
Yeah, so Oregon State, one of the last remaining Pac-2, Pac-3, whatever they have left out there now.
Build that fort.
Is good.
Oregon
good-
State is good.
They're a good team. So yeah, that's it for Week 7. Let's go ahead and jump into our Week 8 predictions. We're going to talk about Tennessee first. Now, they are playing a top 15 team.
And
Tennessee-
it's a classic rivalry
It's
game.
the third
Saturday.
in
October.
October.
And it's actually, this year, it is
Yeah.
actually on the third Saturday.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, we got Tennessee at Alabama.
A classic hated rival.
A classic-
team that Tennessee has played for over 100 years.
This is one of my favorite games of the year, even though Tennessee loses the majority of them. It's just a fun weekend.
Alabama fans and Tennessee fans jumping on online forums, yelling stuff at each other.
Yeah, Tennessee won this game last year 52-49. I don't think there's going to be 52 points in this game. both put together.
Absolutely not.
Both
Last year's teams had far superior offenses.
yeah, both defenses are doing pretty good. Both offenses
are worse than last year.
are definitely worse than last year. I was actually looking at this game. This is one of the most evenly matched as far as stats go. The Power Predictor has Alabama as a 76.4% chance of winning. But as far as the stats go, Milton has 112 for 182, 1264, 10 TDs, 4 picks. Milroe has 85 of 132, 1397, 11 TDs, 4 picks. Milroe has threw for more yards with less passes, but they have ran the ball also. Wright has 80 carries, 571. McClellan, 95 carries, 454. So Wright has less carries for more yards. So they sort of off balance there a little bit. Receiving yards, Squirrel White's our best with 29 catches. Burton is their best with 19 catches. They have a little bit more explosive passing, and a lot of that came against A&M. A&M played up front to stop them from running, and Alabama,
Milton just let his cannon loose.
Milroe passed all over.
Milroe's cannon. He does have a good arm.
He passed all over A&M last week, so that comes.
Actually, that was the week after. He did pass well against Arkansas.
He passed well against Arkansas too, but A&M he threw all over them. He got a lot of passing yards from them. So I mean, it's really evenly matched. On the defense, Tennessee allows 303 a game, and Alabama allows 292. Yards passing per game, 212 for Tennessee, 219 for Alabama. Yards rushing, 231 for Tennessee. This is the one advantage Tennessee has. Alabama's only rushing for 148. Tennessee's rushing for 232. And Tennessee just put the 232 on the best rushing defense in the SEC. Alabama's favored by nine and a half. And honestly, they probably should beat Tennessee by 10. But I'm going to go Tennessee plus 9.5.
I just don't see it as a blowout.
No, I just don't see it as a blowout. For it to be a blowout, Alabama's going to have to put up, I would say, 30 or more points, because Tennessee's probably going to put up 20, just because they're going to put up 20. So
Milton's got to be the key here. He's got to be accurate.
Tennessee's defense is so good right now. I think they're ranked number 3 in the SEC. But they're killing people. The quarterbacks, I think that the A&M's quarterback was he had 39 dropbacks. He was rushed 25 out of 39 dropbacks. Somebody was in his face. If they do that to Milroe, then I think Tennessee can keep it close. So we won't spend a whole lot of time. Again, I can talk Tennessee for half an hour, but we got Tennessee plus 9.5 here. Jumping up into what people are calling, again, we got some really good games of the week. My game of the week is Tennessee at Alabama, because that's my game of the week. But we do have Penn State at Ohio State.
Big game, James.
Big game, James. Penn State has been.
We need a T-shirt.
We do need a T-shirt. Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 4. I'm going to take Ohio State.
Until big game, James.
Until he
wins a big game.
Until he beats Ohio State or Michigan, I'm going to take Ohio State and Michigan.
Yep.
Especially only 4 points.
Oh boy.
I'm definitely going to take that. Again, Penn State scored 63 points last week. I really think they should have saved some of those points. And that sounds funny, but a lot of times when teams score 60 points one week, they score 13 the next week. When they play a good
they lose
team,
too much ammo.
They showed every play they had because they had to. They scored 63 points. So I don't know. I'm definitely going to take Ohio State -4 on that one. We got UCF at Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's playing well. I'm going to pick the Sooners.
Yeah, Oklahoma's favored by 19. I think I got that one too. Washington State at Oregon. Washington State's not doing bad, but they're not
great either.
Great. Oregon's coming off of a loss.
At home, I picked the Ducks.
Oregon should win by 20+ on that one, yeah. Jumping on down, we got Texas, number 8 in the country. Texas Longhorns at Houston. Houston's not very good this year either.
And Texas should roll over them.
Yeah, the line on that was 23.5. I'm pretty comfortable with that one too. Virginia at North Carolina.
It's on the CW, so that's an interesting point.
That is. The CW network has that one. Virginia's bad. They're 1-5.
and North
North
Carolina's
Carolina's
good. So they're
North Carolina's
self-explanatory.
6-0. Yeah. That was definitely going to be good. 23.5 again. I'm probably okay with that one too. We got Ole Miss, Auburn. This one is going to be interesting. That's a good SEC rivalry game. Every time you see two SEC teams play each other, it's going to be maybe closer than what you think. And the line on this one is Ole Miss is only favored by 6.5.
I might pick the Rebels
I probably will pick the Rebels too, just because Auburn has been driving they lost by 30 to LSU last week.
Yikes.
So they only lost by 7 to Georgia, but Georgia plays everybody. They lost by 17 to A&M. So every time they've got up against somebody good, they've lost by double digits. So I'm going to go with Ole Miss on this one too, because it's only 6.5. We got Michigan State. Michigan State is in sort of a turmoil, chaos.
And Michigan is not.
This line's only 24. That sounds funny, only 24. But Michigan's offense has found itself again the last few games.
And we want to pick the Wolverines.
I think 24 is very, very doable this week. Yeah, we got Duke at Florida State. This
could be a trap.
This is a trap. This is definitely a trap game.
Duke is not bad.
No, Florida State's only favored by 14.
They gave Notre Dame a bit of a scare at home, so Florida State better watch themselves here, and you better play up to your highest point.
I'm actually going to take Duke in the points on this one. I think Florida State wins. Don't get me wrong, but it may be. I think maybe less than 10.
Yeah, Florida State should win this game, but not by 14.
No, I'm talking 30-21 type thing. I think it's under 10. We got number 14 Utah at USC. This one's a toss-up for me.
Caleb Williams should bounce back, I think.
USC coming off a loss at home should win this game. The line's 6.5.
Utah is still injury-riddled to oblivion this year.
The Utah's still number 14 in the country, but I think that probably ends this week. USC has dropped to number 18. And our last top 15 matchup of the week, Arizona State at Washington. Arizona State is really not good. They're 1-5.
Washington coming off a win against Oregon at home. Washington should roll.
Washington should roll on this one. The line's 26.5. I'm actually comfortable with that one too. That's it. That is college football. Our recap of Week 7 and our predictions for Week 8. Again, thanks for SevereTV.com for setting us up here in the studios. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for setting us up with some helmets to show on here. Again, they've got 2 stores, one in Sevierville, one in Pigeon Forge. Check them out. And thanks again for everybody checking in with us. We'll see you next week for some more college football.
See you next week.